last hour, Donald Trump has now reignited the debate over that violent protest on the weekend which left one woman dead. It sounded like an extraordinary press conference. Our North America correspondent Zoe Daniel joins us now from Washington. Zoe, how would you describe it?
Virginia, after about 2 years of dealing minute by minute with Donald Trump's behaviour, it takes a lot to render me speechless, and this has just about done it. This was just the most extraordinary moment in this administration that I think I've seen, and that says a lot. Donald Trump is at Trump Tower. He's gone to New York for the first time in some months, and he was ostensibly giving a statement on infrastructure development. But of course, he then took questions and he was asked by the press about the slow way in which he approached the issues in Charlottesville and why he didn't more quickly condemn the white nationalists by name that were involved. Now, let's take a backward step for a moment. On Saturday, after the awful incident in which a woman was killed by a car at this race hate rally, Donald Trump came out and gave off-the-cuff remarks, and he said, "We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry and violence on many sides, Now, he was then under pressure for 3 days because it appeared that he was trying to spread blame beyond these white supremacist groups, beyond the white nationalist groups, to the counter-protesters who were pushing back against them. So yesterday, he came out and gave prepared remarks that he read from an auto cue in which he said racism is evil and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. Today, we're back to the unscripted version of Donald Trump, and here's what he said.
You had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. What about the alt-left? They came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right. Do they have any semblance of guilt?
So I guess it went on from there. He must have been peppered with questions from the press corps, and from what we read online, he got increasingly more angry.
He seemed to be absolutely furious. I've never seen him appear more angry, and he was really pushing back at this argument from the press that he's been slow to condemn the white supremacist groups. He went as far as to refer to the statue of Robert E. Lee, the Confederate general that is proposed to be pulled down, that's caused part of this protest movement, saying, well, I noticed that Stonewall Jackson is coming down. I wonder, is George Washington next week, and is Thomas Jefferson the week after? You really have to ask yourself, where does it stop? And Virginia, it goes in part to, I guess, a view that's being perpetrated in elements of the right-wing media, and we know that Donald Trump consumes that the left, and particularly this extreme left movement that does exist, is unhinged, is made up of anarchists, and is a violent and dangerous leftist fringe that doesn't get attention from the mainstream media or the fake news media, as Donald Trump describes it. Now, it's important to note that some members of this movement are violent. There's a group called Antifa. They describe themselves as anarchists, and they are in part formed to push back against the right-wing groups that were holding this rally. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't have been there if the white supremacists and the white nationalists didn't organise the rally in the first place. And if you actually look at the numbers around violence perpetuated by domestic extremists in the United States over the last 10 years, 75% of that violence has been perpetrated by right-wing groups.
Let's see what the consequences are, if there are any, from this particular press conference. Zoe Daniel, thanks so much.
Now to another big problem faced by Donald Trump, those tensions between the US and North Korea. Malcolm Turnbull has